Okay, so for 27, the situation is a little bit complicated with all these commas. But let's take a look and break it down what we're trying to say, and then choose our answer based on that. So the sentence starts up here with a goat. A goat ingests the vegetation particular to the meadow in which it grazes, which, along with other environmental factors such as altitude and weather, shapes the cheese's taste and texture. Okay, so the issue with the sentence is that there's a lot of sort of extra information which isn't critical to the structure of the sentence. So before we move on, I think it's critical to understand what is the structure of the sentence. So uh, a goat is our subject, right? A goat ingests the vegetation particular to the meadow in which it grazes. Okay, so that's the sort of main idea here. Then we get into the specifics. It says which shapes the cheese's taste and texture, right? That's the second main idea. The second main idea is that the vegetation particular to the meadow shapes the cheese's taste and texture. Okay, so we understand that. Now, what is all this that happens in between? So we see that we have a comma right here starting this next part, and that's important to pay attention to, because if we start with this comma, it's probably best to close off with a comma somewhere else, because if we remember, we surround things with two commas when it is some kind of elaboration or qualification on something mentioned before, which is exactly what we see here. So again, think when stuff is surrounded by commas, think of it's very close to surrounding something with parentheses. So it's like particular to the meadow in which it grazes, which, open parenthesis, along with other environmental factors. So that alone could be already, so that's already the end of an idea, right? So which, along with other environmental factors, shapes the cheese's taste and texture. Okay, so that's sort of one level of specificity, right? But then it goes even deeper. So it's like, think of it again. I think thinking about this one in parentheses would be useful. So open parentheses, which, along with other environmental factors, and then another open parenthesis here. Why? Because this is an example of factors, right? So along with other environmental factors specifies the previous statement, and then such as altitude and weather specifies the factors which specify the previous statement. I hope that's making sense. So we need a few commas here. So along with other environmental factors, we probably want a comma after factors. Again, why? Because we want to start separating this portion right here. So there's not one at the moment, so A is out, C is also out. Let's take a look at B and D. So they both have a comma here, but D does not end with a comma, while B does. And so that means B is going to be our answer, because if we start with this comma right here, then we want to completely surround this statement with two commas on either side to signify that this is just an elaboration on something said before. So so for that reason, B is our answer. And if you state it that way, then the sentence flows along nicely, because you have, in that case, this portion surrounded by, you have this surrounded by two commas, and you have this surrounded by two commas, which is exactly what you want. It's a kind of a complicated sentence, and maybe this isn't, I mean, I feel like there would be more direct ways of expressing this, but it is what it is. So for that reason, B is our answer. It's just a matter of playing with the commas to, surround the things that you want to surround, to signify that they're merely details, and they are not critical to the main structure of the sentence.